What's going on, football fans? It's your host J.R. Clark, back again. This time with a special guest, the guy I guess you could blame for all of this Falcons shenanigans that I've been doing lately, because this is the guy that has gotten me involved in watching football. 10 years ago or 10 plus years ago. It's my best friend. His name's Jonathan Holder. So today I'm gonna kind of talk with him about some of the things that have been going on with the Falcons, be it the off season or the potential Super Bowl hangover, or even how he's coping, with the Super Bowl loss, as he's probably the biggest Falcons fan that I know. Hence, he, like I said before, he got me into this. So, without further ado, what's up, John Boy?
How's it going, man? Glad, thanks for bringing me on. We talked about getting on here a couple times before, and today was just, to hell with it. Let's go.
Right, right. No time like the present.
Absolutely not. And I'm always down to talk Falcons, you know, at any time. So, at Falcons, NFL doesn't have to always be Falcons, but that's my team.
Right.
And I've been a fan since probably '96, I guess, is when I really started to pick up on them, and rolled into the '98 season, went to
Right.
the Super
Okay.
Bowl for the first
I see.
time.
There you go. Not a bad time.
Nope, nope. And pretty much once that happened, as cemented, baseball was pushed to the side. That was what I liked, pretty much like more before then. But baseball was pushed to the side, basketball was pushed to the side. Pretty much been a football fan since then. It's just gotten more and more into it as I've gone along. So
Cool. So you've dealt with a lot of the highs and a lot of the lows of this team that I didn't necessarily have to deal with. Up until the 2008 2009 season, you didn't even get to enjoy a back to back winning season with the
no,
team. So I mean, the fact that you were still a fan through that is amazing to me, because there were times during the 2014 2015 season, I came to you like, why are we still rooting for this team? And but that was the worst that I had experienced,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you have experienced far worse. I mean, you had the Petrino debacle and
Oh,
the Vic breaking his leg, and then getting charged with the felony stuff, and so you had that debacle. So yeah, I mean, you've definitely been through the ringer, so to speak.
I've watched the Jeff George days
Oh,
and the Billy Joe Tolliver days.
who?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Billy Joe Tolliver, man. You know, I've seen a lot of guys, come and play for this team. I've seen, I mean, there was that I can't remember his name right now, but he was the one of the biggest busts. A lot of people probably say is the biggest bust in Atlanta Falcons history.
Jamal Anderson?
No, Andre.
Oh, so not the defensive guy.
No, well, he was a defensive guy. He was a linebacker. And for some reason, it's slipping my mind right now. But Andre Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Andre Bruce. That guy came in, was like a highly touted. I think he was a first round pick. Was supposed to be this, pass rusher, kind of guy, or a guy who was a really good blitzer, was good in coverage, and just, oh man,
Horrible.
real bad.
Oh,
real bad. I think I saw him get one sack.
oh God.
I wasn't quite as interested enough to catch the Dion era, but I think I caught I did see some very late Dion Falcons games,
Right.
but most of the time that I remember watching the Falcons, he was either a 49er, a Cowboy, or somebody else.
Right.
It galled me to know this guy was on our team. He went somewhere else and then won Super Bowls all over the place
Right.
with other teams. So that seemed to be the narrative, both whether we're talking about the Falcons or the Braves for a long, long time. And the Braves only got one championship, but
Yeah.
it seemed like we would get guys that were good, and then just as they were getting
Real
into
good.
their prime, so to speak, quote unquote,
Quote unquote.
they would leave. The Falcons go on and win championships or have great success in other places. But that seems to be, all the lows, and there have been a lot. All the lows that I have gone through since I've like firmly was entrenched as a Falcons fan in the '98 season. Uh, going through both the good times, beating Green Bay in the playoffs for in Lambeau for the first time in the NFL history, and going through that, beating San Francisco, just doing all the things that we've done, but then also the low stuff. There's been some really low times, um, and then to have what happened last season happen. Yes, do I should we have won that Super Bowl? Absolutely. Were we the better team on that day? Absolutely. Uh, you know, defense just ran out of gas. It was very much heartbreaking.
Right.
But I saw that coming. From at the end of that first half, I was happy, but I was also extremely cautious because I had seen the defense was on the field way too long.
Much. Right.
I was hoping that was going to change in the second half, and it didn't. It came back to bite us in the ass. But yes, that was a bad ending to the season. But the last season was the greatest season of football, of Falcons football, that I have personally ever seen.
Right.
And that goes with the '98 team. That team was really good. I don't think they hold it. I personally, you may disagree. Your viewers may disagree with me. You may disagree with me.
Right.
Maybe a lot of people disagree, but I personally think last year that Falcons team, even with the inexperience and everything, was a far better team than the '98 team. Defense wasn't as good. Defense wasn't as good. Um, you know, but they were good enough, and that offense was amazing to watch.
Oh yeah. I mean, the offense definitely was, world renowned in the or historical in the Falcon sense, and historical in NFL history sense, as that they tied the record for the Rams, the greatest show on turf,
Yep.
as far as points scored. So yeah, it was a historical offense all the way around. But to me, the shining point, or the point that I look to and look for, is that the fact that we had what, 4 rookies starting in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then you had 8 total 1 or 2nd year guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on the defensive side, or whatever, what have you. Now, granted, a lot of it has to do with the injuries that Trufant suffered, or Derek Shelby suffered, and
Yep.
so on and so forth. But that's experience that you can't get any other way, and that's experience that we now have rolling into this season.
Yeah.
And that's a arrow pointing up kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like you kind of saw with the Panthers, year 4 last. A lot of people didn't talk about, or didn't bring up the fact that the Panthers had an extremely easy schedule. As far as who they played during the regular season.
Right.
Now, of course, they had to get through the playoffs and stuff, and they still didn't face. I mean, by the time they got to Arizona was on like their 10th quarterback or something. They wasn't that. No, that wasn't them. No, that wasn't that one. Because they faced Carson Palmer.
Yeah, they faced
That's
Carson
right.
Palmer. They faced Arizona.
But Arizona was trending down going into that
a little
playoff.
bit. Yeah, they were kind of, they weren't, they had peaked earlier in the season.
Right. And then that's the point I'm making, is that I don't believe Carolina was as tough as we were when we got there. It was the point I'm making.
Well, so the thing, when I look at the Panthers season, and Cam Newton wins the
MVP.
Mm-hmm. But if you go back and look at the total overall, as a passer, right, as a runner, he is really good. I don't want to take anything. I don't like Cam. I don't like any other players in our division that are not Falcons.
Right.
I don't pull for them. I don't anything. I can recognize talent with Drew Brees, Cam Newton, what have you. However, I will say this: you look at that team. That team went the way of the defense.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, the offense looked good, but the defense gave them a lot of short fields. And even then, you look at Cam Newton through that season, he was not a high completion percentage guy. It was feast or famine. If the guy was on and he was hitting, he didn't even have to hit a lot of stuff. He would just have to hit the big play.
Right.
Or have the running game help him out. And I think that he can be a good guy. He's not an intermediate thrower. He's very much a deep ball thrower. He's a guy that likes to throw to open guys. He can hit, and we've seen him before, hit guys that uh, didn't appear to be open and stuff like that. But that I think he relies on his arm strength too much, and that's kind of got him into trouble last year and in previous seasons before last year.
Right.
It wasn't, everybody thinks
that last year was the anomaly.
Yeah, right.
When actually,
if you go
the
back,
Super Bowl year was more the anomaly than last season.
Right. So he regressed back to the mean, and actually, I mean, at least both times against the Falcons looked absolutely horrible. And he had other games where he didn't look good at all. I mean, you look at the Super Bowl that he was in, he didn't play very well. And then when he faced the Broncos again, he didn't look good there at all either. You can say what you want about the hits, but at the end of the day, the guy didn't, he either the offense was unwilling, the offensive coordinator was unwilling to give him shorter passes, or he didn't want them, and even when he had outlets to get rid of the ball quickly or to get rid of the ball underneath, he didn't like to do that. He liked to hold the ball to get that big strike because that's what he likes. Right. And I'm cool with that, except you don't have the offensive line.
Yeah, but I say you don't have the Dallas offensive line to hold up.
No.
So with that being said, you need to move. But so transitioning off of what some people consider to be one of the lower points in the Falcons' history, which I don't see it that way, but I have seen that being, said and reported. How do you feel like the Falcons are going to deal with a potential Super Bowl hangover?
So when I look at this team, unlike other teams that have, whether they won the Super Bowl, lost the Super Bowl, and either didn't make it to the playoffs next year, which I've heard a lot of talk about. Well, they don't even make, a lot of teams don't even make it to the playoffs next year. That really, if you look at the numbers, I believe, again, I'm not fact checking here, but I do believe I remember seeing an actual number that's only been a more recent occurrence.
Yeah, that wasn't the norm.
Yeah.
Up until maybe, I think I saw like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's even been in just this last decade as to where that has become the norm. But I think that has more to do with a lot of times your teams like take Denver last year after their Super Bowl, or not last year. Anyway, y'all know what I mean. Take
Super Bowl 50.
Right, there you go. Take Denver. When that Super Bowl was done, they had a lot of players depart.
Yep.
Because they couldn't pay them off.
You lost Peyton Manning to to retirement.
Right.
You lost Malik Jackson to free agency.
Brandon Marshall, not Marshall. Was it Marshall?
Yeah, it's Brandon Marshall. He's the linebacker. Yeah. They lost some key pieces off that defense, but even the main thing they lost off the offense was they lost a competent quarterback.
Right.
They didn't have one.
Right.
Brock Osweiler is not a competent quarterback.
No, and neither was last year for him, Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch.
Nope.
As far as their readiness to be a competent
now, Paxton Lynch, could he become something?
Right.
Could Trevor Siemian? Maybe. But Brock Osweiler is not that guy.
And was not the answer.
Was not the answer. And they let him go. And then all they were left with was Siemian and Lynch. And neither one, and obviously we saw neither one of them was ready to go.
Right.
Now, Siemian had a good start to the season, but if you look back, it wasn't. He made some throws, but he was bailed out by his defense way more often than anything else. And once that defense couldn't hold up,
then it became a problem.
Yeah, you saw Siemian was more a liability than he was a guy that could help you.
Right. So now you take that and then look back, or apply that to our team, apply that to the Falcons, and we didn't really lose anybody.
We lost Aldrick Robinson on the offense.
We lost Aldrick Robinson on the offense.
And Chris Chester.
Yeah, who wasn't a huge part. Your biggest loss, like you said, was Chris Chester, which some people would argue that he was your weakest link on the offensive line.
He was.
But kind of like you were talking about with Peyton Manning in a sense, he may not be the most physically gifted, but he does have that veteran experience that you now lose. So that's like a small question mark. And then past that, you have Jonathan Babina, who wasn't a huge part of the success of the defensive line, but he was just that veteran presence.
He was a veteran presence. He made contributions at some good times from time to time. I saw, but he also had his moments where he was always a guy that could beat the guy across from him a lot. And I see it, and I love Batman. Absolutely love the guy. He should go into the Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I don't know how many times I saw in his career where he beats the guy in front of him, and then the running back goes right by him.
Right.
He's there. He's in position to make the play, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't make the play when it's there. He does sometimes, but he's inconsistent with that. So the veteran presence, having the veteran guy there, which, while he's not as old, you now have Don Terry Poe. He's a guy who's been in the league, who's played well, so he can maybe bring some of that in. You still got Brooks Reed. You still got some.
You still have enough veteran presence there,
yes,
to probably not feel the loss of Babineau.
Right.
So to me, that's one of the big keys of why I don't think you're going to see a quote unquote Super Bowl hangover, from this team, is that, the guys, if anything, they're just pissed off, from losing. But, the coach that we have in place in Dan Quinn, I believe, is a great motivator of men, and to me, that's one of the biggest things that I've taken from a lot of the interviews that he's done, a lot of the things that our players have said. I think Dan Quinn will definitely be getting the guys pointed in the right direction and get them pointed there early.
Yeah, obviously there's the little snicker when the motto of "Embrace the Suck." Now, with interviews that he's done, he's talked about that. It wasn't just a thing they've come up with for this year. It actually started last year.
Right.
It just didn't make the headlines. The Brotherhood did. Well, now everybody's looking. The Brotherhood seemed to work last year. So what are you going to do?
The thing this year?
What's the new slogan this year? And it's not a new slogan. It's they used it last year. Internally, it just maybe didn't get out.
Didn't surface as much.
Exactly.
And plus, come on, you take a look at it in a media perspective. You're coming off of a Super Bowl loss, and unfortunately, a historical fashion, and a reporter catches the phrase "embrace the suck." Yeah, that's going to flow in with any form of off-season trope or off-season story that you want to build.
Yeah, and it's a military aphorism. Right. It's look, bad things are going to happen. You take it in stride. You learn from it. You get better. They've talked about it before. Every day, you just want to get 1% better every single day. And if they can continue with that mindset and continue with the brotherhood and embrace the suck, and also eat a crap sandwich with a smile.
Yeah.
Just when bad things happen, okay, they happen. Just got to embrace them. Like I said, and move on. And I feel like what I'm hearing from the Falcons is they've moved on. I don't feel, you hear Matt Ryan say, right after the Super Bowl, he went and watched it, one day, one time, then another, trying to see what they did wrong, what he could have done in that situation, or in different situations throughout the game. Just trying to learn from the loss, just like any other loss.
Right.
And I just feel like the people that we lost off this defense are not people that cannot be replaced.
Right.
Babineau, great guy, has been an awesome Falcons player his entire career. And, but I don't think his production cannot be replaced.
Right.
Chester, he worked, again, we talked about it before, weak link on the offensive line in most people's eyes.
Right, but his production can be replaced.
Yeah, his production can be replaced. Well, we assume he can. I mean, we thought the same thing with Mud Duck.
Todd McClure.
Yeah, right. When Todd McClure left, we all thought, oh, Peter Cons, here's the guy who drafted in the first round, drafted a center in the first round.
Yeah. I think he was the third round, wasn't he?
No, I think it was his first or second round. I think.
Yeah.
But he was like supposed to be the best center in the draft, and oh my god.
Yeah.
So you never know. Could Wes Schweitzer win the job and then just completely shit the bed?
Well, of course.
Absolutely could. could we just not find that guy?
Right.
I'll say this though, when we felt like we weren't, a couple of years ago when we started putting the offensive line together, we went out and got Chester, and we went out and got Levitri at the
tail end of the training camp.
Tail end of training camp. And so I feel like if the team feels like they don't have what they need, they'll go and get it.
Right.
So I'm not really that worried about that.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I got to run back to the house and take care of some business. But John, I very much appreciate your thoughts and your opinions, and we will definitely do this again, at a later date and time when I have it better planned out.
Sounds like a plan, man. Whenever you're ready, just let me know, and I'll come and talk to you for a little bit and shoot the breeze about the Falcons, man. I got no problem.
All right, appreciate it, brother.
All right, thanks, man.